Scott Morgan here, Broncos Radio. Joining me is Coach Ed Kaman. Coach, welcome to this show. It's a different type of show we're going to do. We're going to talk about all of the football players that are in college right now and, get your insight and input on what we're seeing with these guys.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Scott. Just a pretty unique thing, pretty cool to be able to kind of, on a Saturday kind of flip through and check and see kind of how guys are doing and check in with them and, check scores and player reports, the substitution report you get from like the official stats in college. Kind of shows you who played snaps where and all that, so you get a feel for some of that. Obviously, we've been really busy on our end of things, so it's kind of it's a unique time because you're really engulfed in what you're doing there with, with our players and things. So as we're working on those things, then we, obviously are looking at the college kids and seeing what they're doing, and our staff text group is like going crazy. Oh my gosh, Gabe's in the game, or Colton just drove them down, they just won the game, and that kind of thing, for Colton Bosch. So just some really cool stuff, and it's been fun to keep tabs on those kids as they go and play at the next level.
It has been, and like you say, it's exciting because Coopersville's never experienced this with this many guys at the next level. How often do you get a chance to talk to these guys, throughout the season? Yeah,
so typically what I'll do is I do a lot of communication with those guys in the spring, in the winter, and just checking in, making sure school's going well, number one. Play is always a big deal. And then just checking on things on the football side of things. I think when you look at cycles as far as coaching and how college football works, they're really busy throughout their season, a lot of meetings and practice and class and those things. And time is pretty scarce there for extra stuff. So I try not to get too, it might be a text here or there or a check-in about things. But really, a lot of the check-ins that I do tend to be more in the spring, ask how things are going with spring football as they get some allotted practices right in those things.
Yeah.
See how their development's going that way. And then just anytime they're in town, if they can swing through and see the guys or stop by the weight room or whatever it may be, just cool to check in with them and see how they're doing. So definitely keeping tabs. Haven't made like individual contacts with every single kid. Talked to a few here or there, trying to make my way through that list. As you said, it's getting longer.
Getting longer.
Tougher to check in with each one, but especially like right before like fall camp opened, a lot of those camps kind of started either just before or just after our practices did.
Yeah.
So just trying to get one last phone call in with them before practice started, and just tell them we're proud of them and excited for them and have them go compete.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, everything. It was kind of exciting to see Gabe on national TV out there playing, and you and I talked that day, and the blocking scheme. He had a great block.
Yeah, no, he really did. It was it was a unique situation, obviously with him being out there, and with the matchup they had that day and the point differential, he gets some real playing time there. So, he had been playing on the PAT and field goal team as a lineman. In the other game, like even against Texas, which is really cool. But I'm talking to Asher, I'm like, oh, that's great, but I want to see him out there blocking people, and
Exactly.
Sure enough, so Saturday, we're sitting there and the phone goes off, and sure enough, I'm flipping between a bunch of different games, but he gets in the game against Grambling and makes a few nice blocks, especially on the one touchdown. He had a real nice block. I think it was a pancake block. So.
Yep. And then Beau Harris is at Calvin, and he gets in because they're doing so well. I'm surprised. Are you surprised at that?
Yeah, when you get in those scenarios, you look at like Division III. You don't have as much of you don't have the redshirt opportunities of things.
Right.
So, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more. I think. How do I want to say this? It's with Division I football and Division II football. There's red shirts they can use to kind of preserve a year of play, right? Yeah. And they can still play in a few games and preserve the red shirt, but at the Division III level, those kids get basically 4 years, barring if they can get some sort of injury type thing where they get an extra, But for the most part, their 4-year clock is ticking. So if those guys have a chance to get kids in and develop them, they want to do that. So it's a great chance for both.
And then we talked about Colton Bosch. I got a text from Jeremy, and that Colton, the 2-minute drill. We've seen it many times out there on that Meerman field there, Meerman Stadium. Colton Bosch driving for a winning touchdown to win the game.
Yeah, my biggest get with all those has kind of been like, social media can be a positive and a negative thing, but social media is a great thing because you can get highlights instantly, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times teams, like I know Colton's program, they post every single score or every single update from the game. So if you want to check in on the game, you can really quick just jot through and just say, hey, okay, I want to look at Concordia, I want to look at Ohio State, I want to look at, so I don't have 20 TVs lined up or, I might be watching film of our game or the opponent we're playing that week, but at least it allows me to kind of check in and see if I can put one of those games on in the background. I like doing that.
Yes.
Even if we have to stream it, but if we can't, then just nice kind of doing that. I've even had it where I've had Ferris on radio, listen to that game, and then trying to check in on Tim Allen, and then have the other games on TV. So
yeah, and like you said, we got Nico Gordon down there at Tiffin.
Yep.
He's doing well, and it's just growing. And congratulations. I mean, you and your staff are putting this all together. Hunter Handcamp just visited Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So he had a game visit. He was offered out there at Minnesota. So they went ahead and went out there after last week's game and got to check that out, which is a really cool experience. They have different levels of visits they do, right? So it wasn't like an official visit.
Right.
So you have to provide your own transportation to get there because it's just a game visit. But pretty cool opportunity, to get out there and see a big time program in the Big Ten. Kind of size yourself up, get out there on the field and see how big those guys are and see where you stack up. And just really neat experience for the kid and the family, just get out there and see that. And, like I said, pretty cool. I don't know. When I was a kid, nobody from Minnesota called me. So it's cool to go there and have that experience and just get a chance to see kind of different level of football and where things are at. So
yeah, definitely. And then we got J.J. Hirdes down there at Illinois. He's got, this red shirt in this year, and, hope to see him progressing and playing and everything. So it's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, obviously checking with those guys and seeing how they're doing is awesome. And then, it's just always fun for me when those guys come back. You get them, they come back to a game or they come back and check in before they head out for camp. And you just see the progression of how hard they've been working and that work paying off. You look at a kid like J.J. Hirdes who, when he played for us a year ago, he was probably weighing 265, 270, somewhere in that range for us, and obviously a big kid and younger, kind of young for his age was great. And then he goes away and spends this, winter and graduates early and goes down there early enrolls in Illinois and, obviously doing a lot of rehab with his knee and that, but then was on their strength program and on their meal plan, all those things. And he comes back, just before the start of our practices and kind of hung out a little bit for a day. And I says, what are you up to? He says, 290. I was like, holy cow. So, he's just a kid that really has been working on, obviously those kids go there and they go way down and get stronger, and it's pretty cool. So just seeing their work paying off is really cool.
It is, and we've got Luke Stanton, Ben Burgess down there at Hillsdale.
Yeah.
And again, they're spread all over, and it's great to see. Like I said,
still got Evan Raymond still kicking. He's got Calvin, he's kicking there, and a whole mix of them. So it's hard to, you got to have a list. You're like, holy cow, look at all these.
Yeah, I do. I've got a list and tally of everything that goes on, and like I say, try to keep contact. Or like you just send them good luck for their game Saturday. So it's pretty impressive and it's exciting to see, and looking forward to the whole season with them. And who knows, we watched Ohio State go all the way to a national championship. Maybe they got a second one in them, and we'll get to see and watch that ride for the VanSickles.
Yeah, no, it's just really cool getting a chance to see those kids play week in, week out, and just really proud of them for the work they put in. And it's another level. Obviously it's college football, but I don't think people understand the amount of time, that goes into that. You don't have a lot of time and freedom on your own with some things. You're really locked into their schedule and what's going on, and it's a lot of work. So just really proud of them for sticking that out and, having success.
Well, thanks, Coach. Like I said, we had a chance to talk about the guys at the next level, and it's kind of exciting to see. And then, like I said, good luck Friday night.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott.